Once again we are flying over this sandy desert, without being able to imagine as hostile the ergs which pass so easily beneath our wings. Once again, our aircraft, this desert cargo ship, is taking us to the first halt of our voyage to the heart of the Sahara. We touch down on the dried clay bottom of an old lake. Out of this airstrip is of the very simplest. When the sandstorm blows, the track becomes invisible, fueling impossible, and we must wait. For our lorries, the track is marked out by the ruts of the vehicles which have passed before us. In some difficult points, the route is signposted. The imprudent person who leaves it risks getting bogged down in the dry clay of the fesh. To drive on the stones and the dust of the reg seems easy, however, for the huge road tank wagons whose silhouette is familiar to us. They remind us that here the problem number one is still that of water. On the northern frontier of the Hogar, Fort Polignac is no more than a halt on our way, an old military bauge rented by the company to stock provisions and material. Once a week we shall do as much as 95 miles to come back to this base camp for mail and supplies. This muddy, salty water, the only water within 190 miles, is precious to us. We fill our goat skins with a week's supply, an operation which attracts the camels from all around. We now arrive at the base camp from which our geological explorations will be made. No difficulty choosing a place for the tents. The space is ours. After their ordeal of 7,500 miles, the vehicles cannot continue without first having an overhaul. All day long, the mechanics stay in camp to work on them. Geologists and topographers work 20 miles. Twice a day, at fixed times, we're in radio contact with those who are directing our expedition and with the authorities. Each sunset is a pleasure renewed, announcing a well-earned rest. Seen through the eyes of a tourist, the Sahara seems to us to consist of sand and stones, with here and there a tuft of grass which serves as food for the camels. The latter are dwarfed by the tall silhouette of the noble racing camel of their herdsman. As for locusts, a mere orange skin on the ground is enough to bring them out of nowhere and to see them pounce in serried ranks on this unhoped-for manna. And what a strange decoration these stones make, balanced on their thin pillar of clay, and each day worn away a little more by the wind. This whirlwind is called Jinn by the natives, and represents for them the spirit of the dead which wander across the face of the regs. The peoples who live signs of their existence, which are uncovered and as soon buried again at the whim of the moving dunes. Here, a tomb placed in the direction fixed by ancestral custom. And there, the remains of hearths with pestles and mortars to grind. By so long and carefully, we find flint darts of the sort that the Tuaregs still use for hunting. Certain rocks are decorated with prehistoric carvings. Rhinoceros, stags, buffaloes show that this region once enjoyed rainfall and even included lakes to which these beasts came for food and drink. Relics of the past, moreover, are not scarce. As in prehistoric times, the people of the region still carve certain rounded rocks to make dishes, and these guide us in our search for oil. The presence of such rocks puts us on the alert. The bed of an old wadi is most useful. The moisture which remains offers us a little vegetation, even flowers. And as for the cliff face, it shows us rock outcrops which are easier to identify. Here, though the eye is no longer enough, the means remain simple. A little saliva to bring out the detail of the rock, and then a magnifying glass to examine it. Having identified this stratum, we follow its outcrops for some hundreds of miles. Its topographical survey is then necessary. With his theodolite, the topographer fixes the exact coordinates, reversing the figures which from about 220 yards away he sees marked upside down on the surveyor's pole that the Tuareg is holding. Then he alone changes position, placing himself at another point so as to take a further reading. The pole carrier is then taken to a new sighting point. Thus, step by step, bumping along the rig, the geologist goes with his assistants and places them all along the stratum so as to make a detailed map of it. To identify certain points, we stake out our route with boundary marks in prefabricated cement. This little masonry job is finished off with inscriptions, the artistic decoration of which is one of the simple pleasures with which we know how to content ourselves. Back in camp, the topographer can at last make his calculations and draw up his maps in comparative relaxation. While we are making our geological surveys, a special crew make borings every mile or so, each one being about 160 feet deep. An injection of water in particular makes it possible to bring up fragments which are carefully examined. If they confirm the existence of the suspected lower reference stratum, its angle and shape can be followed. After each boring, the rods are carefully pulled up and dismantled. For our crew also, each job finished means striking camp. If this takes place during a sandstorm, it is an event to be feared almost as much as the shortage of water. The tents are torn, the baggage fills with dust. Before the lorries, the tracks fade away. Sometimes one has to stop in order not to lose oneself and risk dying of thirst. Then we try to see only the beauty of the sandstorm as it conducts its ballet of swirling cloud across the timeless dunes.